Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're taking a closer look at a short story called The Old Suitcase. It's from the YouTube channel English Crunch.
Mm-hmm. And it's one of those stories that seems quite simple on the surface, A wife sees her husband packing this old suitcase.
Right.
But it really opens up this whole world, this moment of huge change and, well, a lot of unspoken things within their marriage.
Exactly. And for you, the learner listening in, our goal here is to dig into that, to explore the emotions that aren't being said out loud,
Yeah.
the weight of tradition,
Yeah.
and also the quiet kind of resilience the wife shows when her whole life is about to shift.
Yeah, trying to understand what it tells us about, like, communication or the lack of it, cultural norms, and that sort of inner strength.
So where should we start? Maybe with the suitcase itself?
I think that's the perfect place. The old suitcase, it pops up quite a bit, which is usually a sign, right?
Yeah, definitely intentional. We
Mhm.
know what's literally in it, clothes, and importantly, his wedding suit. So it's tied to when they started out, moving into their first home together. And now here it is again, packed for leaving. It's carrying his past, but also heading towards a totally new future for him.
Absolutely. That symbolic weight is huge. The wedding suit, that's their shared history, packed away. And now the suitcase is really just for his journey, almost like sectioning off that shared past.
And what about her comment? She says, it's a good suitcase, it's lasted a long time. But then right after, but it's still small. What's going on there?
That contrast is, I think, really telling. It's lasted a long time.
Mhm.
And maybe that's her sort of acknowledging the marriage itself has endured. It's been functional, perhaps.
Okay, like it served its purpose for a while.
Exactly. But then it's still small.
Hmm.
That feels like a realization, maybe unconscious, that it can't hold this new, expanded life he's planning.
So the life they built together, symbolized maybe by the old suitcase, isn't enough for him anymore.
That's one way to read it, yeah. It can't contain his future ambitions, which now include, well, another wife.
Which brings us squarely to the silence in their marriage. The story really zooms in on the wife's perspective, her internal thoughts about how they just don't talk about feelings.
It's so central, that line about some people don't find it easy to talk about their feelings. Year after year, it gets harder and harder, just like a callus on the skin.
Wow, yeah.
That's such a vivid image, isn't it? How emotional distance can just solidify, become this tough, unfeeling layer over time.
And it's clearly her experience, not just some abstract idea. We see it when she notices his cologne.
Right, the one he wore at their wedding.
Yeah. And she doesn't wear perfume, and she has this slightly judgmental thought about married women who do, thinking they might be looking for lovers. What does that little detail suggest about her?
Well, it might point to a kind of austerity, maybe a belief that practicality and duty are what matter, not romance or expressing that side of herself. Perhaps it reflects a certain lack of intimacy or connection in their own marriage.
And she seems to have rationalized her situation, thinking, she already had a good, hardworking husband with a shop. What more can a woman want?
Exactly. That's her justifying it, accepting the societal standard. It's about stability, provision, not necessarily emotional connection. It really makes you wonder what she's had to suppress within herself to maintain that view.
Yeah, definitely. And the narrator reinforces that, describing her as neither soft nor hard, never showing what she felt or needed. And crucially, he didn't know what she needed, and he never asked.
That's just heartbreaking, isn't it? That lack of curiosity, that lack of asking. It speaks volumes about the emotional distance, whether it's intentional neglect or just, a complete disconnect in how they view marriage.
The sheer lack of conversation, the absence of those probing personal questions, it's deafening.
Mm-hmm. And if you zoom out a bit, you can see the broader cultural context, the traditional expectations really playing a huge role here.
Like how the husband thinks about her, echoing his family's view. She will make a very good wife, work hard for you, give you many sons.
Precisely. Her value is measured by her labor and her ability to produce sons. That's a very specific traditional view of a wife's role.
And she seemed to have absorbed that completely. Her own thought, hardworking Chinese women must not have feelings. Like it's a rule she has to live by.
It's presented almost like a fact of life for her.
Yeah.
Which makes her internal reaction to the news of the new wife so powerful.
Right, because inside, she wants to shake him, scream, and shout, fall on her knees, crying, no, no, please stay. That's intense emotion.
Huge emotion. But on the outside, nothing, just stillness. That gap between her inner turmoil and her outward inaction really shows the force of those societal constraints. It's not that she doesn't feel, it's that she feels she cannot show it.
And the husband's justification just reinforces that different worldview, doesn't it? Today is a great day. Not everyone is rich enough to have 2 wives, more sons, to continue the family name.
It's entirely pragmatic. It's about status, lineage, family continuation. There's no mention of love or her feelings or partnership in the way we might think about it today.
It seems completely transactional.
Very much so. And look at how he encounters the new wife, only 19. Beautiful because she was young and happy, remembers her bright eyes. He saw her once.
Once. That's quite something. It feels so superficial.
It does. It's based on youth, looks, a fleeting impression, not any deep connection or understanding.
And his logic for having two hardworking wives, one stronger, the young one like a new flower, it's still about utility, about labor, maybe adding some novelty.
Yes, the focus remains on what they do for him or the household, rather than who they are or the emotional relationships.
So given all this, the first wife's reaction is, well, it's striking. She doesn't fight it outwardly. Instead, her mind goes straight to logistics.
Right. I'll take care of the shop. I'll have some jobs for her to do. It's fascinating. It's like her ingrained sense of duty and practicality just takes over immediately.
Maybe it's her way of keeping some kind of control in a situation where she feels she has very little.
That's a really interesting thought. It's a form of resilience, perhaps, operating within the very narrow confines she has. Managing the practicalities might be the only agency available to her at that moment.
And underneath it all, there's that feeling she has of being tired and old. You feel that's more than just physical, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It feels like soul-deep weariness, the emotional weight of years of unspoken feelings, unmet needs, living within these strict expectations.
And she knows she can't object. She thinks people would say that she was wrong even to ask him. The societal pressure is immense.
Exactly. Her own desires, that scream she wants to let out, are completely silenced by what's considered acceptable for a woman in her position in that time and culture. She's trapped by expectation.
Which makes her final gesture, offering the new suitcase, even more poignant. Your suitcase, it's old. You need a new one. What do you make of that?
It's such a small act, but layered with meaning. On one level, yes, practical, but could it also be maybe a final attempt to connect, to offer something, to participate in his life, even as it's fundamentally changing, a kind of farewell gift almost?
Possibly. And his response, perhaps I will get a new one after all. It feels a bit delayed. Dismissive, even.
It does feel like an afterthought, doesn't it? Like he doesn't quite grasp or maybe doesn't want to acknowledge the potential depth of her gesture. It just highlights that final emotional gap between them.
And then the door closes, quietly, leaving her alone with everything unsaid. It's a very solitary ending.
It really is. That final image perfectly captures the emotional isolation, the silence that defines their relationship, and the profound solitude she's left with.
So wrapping this up, the old suitcase,
Yeah.
it really gives us this incredibly moving glimpse into a marriage shaped by silence, by tradition, by gender roles, and also by this quiet, almost invisible strength the wife possesses as she faces this enormous upheaval.
Definitely. Which leads us to something important for you, the listener, to think about. Consider all the ways communication happens or doesn't happen. Even silence communicates something, right?
Yeah.
So what are the long-term impacts when feelings and needs stay buried on us as individuals and on our relationships? And what does a story like this tell us about how cultural shifts might clash or interact with our own personal desires and needs?
It really makes you think about the power dynamics in silence and, well, the sheer resilience people can show even when they can't speak their truth out loud. Lots to mull over there.